In Kotlin, just like in Java, classes can have constructors, but there is one special form of constructor called the primary constructor that we're going to take a look at first of all. So I'm going to make a new class called human, and this class is going to be initialized with the name and the age as well. So the way you can initialize it is by specifying a so-called primary constructor. So I'm going to take a constructor here which will take name as a string and age as an int. So this constructor is now usable from the main function, for example. So I can say something like var age equals human, and once again I can put in my name and my dream age, shall we say. So this is a constructor which at the moment doesn't really do much because we're feeding in some values and those values are not being used for anything. They're not being stored anywhere. So how can we actually make use of them? Well, one of the ways that you can actually do something with a constructor is by providing an initialization block. So this initialization block will run whenever you call the constructor, and this is where you can perform additional steps in addition to actually what the constructor does. Now, our constructor does absolutely nothing at the moment, so the initialization block better do something useful. So here I can, for example, print line that human is initialized with name and age. So at the very least, what I can do in the initialization block is I can refer to the arguments which are passed in the constructor. And let's actually run this to see what happens. All right, so human initted with Dimitri and 1, 2, 3. However, this isn't really of much use because I really want to store the name and the age in properties. Now, instead of making properties right in here, what I can do is I can automatically ensure that the properties are made out of these arguments. And the way I can do it is by simply putting a var or a val in front of the name of the argument. So I can put a var in here and I can put a val in here. Now let's take a look at how this works. So now what I can do is I can actually access these as properties. And this means that right here I can finally print line, my name is h.name, and I am h.age years old. So now I can actually access these because not only are they arguments in the constructor, but they also get stored as properties. And here is the output. My name is Dimitri. I'm 123 years old. So this is very useful. And you'll notice that I put a var in here and a val in here. And these work just as they work inside properties declared ordinarily. What var means is that you can modify the name. So I can say h.name equals John, but val means that age is a read-only property. It means that you cannot modify the age because it's a fixed value. So if I say h.age equals 32, for example, you'll notice that I get an inspection that val cannot be reassigned. So this is something to keep in mind when you actually define your constructor properties.